things. Thanks for being here tonight, guys. Sam, thank you for coming on board. Gary, good to have you back, man. Gary, good to have you back, man. Okay. Don't say a word.
Southern National has played host to many incredible races here on not only GSRC, but also in the Bootleg Racing League. For the fourth time in the Shootout's history, the league returns to the Speedway for the 5th annual Stone River Shootout hosted by the Bootleg Racing League here on the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Gary Weaver alongside Samuel Ryman with Sean Ambrose in the director's booth using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The past 4 years have seen 3 different winners here at Southern National, and now the question is, will we be seeing a 3-time winner in J.R. Shepherd, or will someone add their name to the list as a new winner entirely? Before we get underway with this afternoon's 125-lap event, we'll show you how we get around here with this GSRC lap guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around Southern National Motorsports Park in the GSRC Super Late model. This is going to be a quick one, so here we go. Down into turn 1, let it roll through the very tight apex, aim for the bottom, and then cut it right out towards the wall. Back down into turn 3, same thing. Let it find the middle here, rotate in, and then get back onto the gas. Southern National is kind of like a really banked Martinsville. It's about the only way I can describe it. Back down into turn 1, out of turn 2, keeping that same flow. You're going to get into a nice rhythm with the engine sound too. Easy in, hard off. That's what's going to be the key to get around this joint across the line. And that's going to complete our track guide here around Southern National Motorsports Park. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
And that is a look at how we get around this facility here at Southern National Motorsports Park. Before we get into the information on this track, we'd like to remind you that this race is brought to you by Stone River Outfitters. Stone River Outfitters is a family-owned, full-service brick and mortar fly shop located in Amherst, New Hampshire, servicing the greater New England region and beyond. Committed to your complete satisfaction, our small but knowledgeable staff works hard to not only stock the finest selection of top quality fly fishing and fly tying products the industry has to offer, but backs those goods with the highest levels of customer service, experienced insight, and most candid, most trustworthy advice available anywhere, period. That is Stone River Outfitter. So we're going to hand it off now over to Samuel Ryman over on co-commentator. Samuel, well, give us the information here about Southern National.
Yes, thank you, Gary. Well, here's an image of it. Looks like your typical short track oval. But of course, every short track has their own unique little quirks. What stands out about this track is the amount of banking, 17 degrees. That might not sound like much when you compare it to a NASCAR track, but for a 4/10 of a mile oval, it's pretty steep. So we might see some different lines being run out there today. And you can see this racetrack is quite wide. So there's room for these cars to beat and bang on each other and fight against each other throughout the turns. Now, I have a feeling 125 laps, that'll go by in a hurry here tonight because of how short the track is. We might see some aggressive driving out there. Some great old short track racing for this shootout race.
And that aggressive driving can also pay a little bit of a dividend to those tires. One set of tires are available. So if drivers do need that, then, well, they can pit on lap 63 if needed. As we see the race details, 125 laps, as Ryman had mentioned. One set of tires, one faster pair is available. And, well, that 2-lap lone qualifying is just exactly what we're about to get into in about 3 seconds time. So, Samuel, we're about to see what exactly these drivers have in store for their qualifying runs.
Yes, and all of these drivers are past champions or recent winners over in Bootleg Racing League's divisions. So all of these drivers have a lot of talent. So hopefully we should see a great race out there tonight. It's a select number of drivers that have been able to make a show. As you mentioned, we're going to see single car qualifying here. Now, this will fly by because we have a field of about 20 cars, I would say. But 2 laps, you know, one out lap and one in lap as well. Each car will be able to complete that in about a minute. So hopefully everyone should get their time in, although we're still waiting for the first car to go on track, and there it goes.
That is the number 68 of Tyler Papyrus. Most likely mispronounced, unfortunately, but Tyler File, as I'm being told, thanks to producer Sean Ambrose. So we'll see what the 68 has in store here.
Yeah, I am a little worried here. I hope these guys get on top of a wheel, because a 15-minute qualifying session might not be enough for everyone to get 2 time laps in, actually. Yeah, it's going to be cutting it close. But there we go. Tyler File starts his qualifying run with a 22.4, and hopefully the second car is already out there on track. 15.3 is Tyler File's second time lap there.
Next up is going to be the number 19, the one and the only Lowell Jewell. He's also going to start his run, so it's going to be, again, very, very close, but should be doable by the looks of this. Starting his first lap, and only lap as well, is going to be that number 19. Some of these drivers will have a lap time going in already due to some of them passing by the start-finish line in pit road. But 19 of Jewell will come off to number 4, wrap up his lap time. It'll be a 15.002. That's going to knock File off by about 0.3 of a second.
Yes, I was wrong there with Tyler File. Obviously, his 23 or whatever he did the first lap was an out lap, so his 15.3 was his first lap. He didn't improve on his second lap. Lowell Jewell goes from a 15.0 to a 14.9. That's still not going to be enough for pole, I don't think. We saw 14.5 was the fastest time in practice.
Next up, the 44 of Jeffrey Harden, a very visible paint scheme, actually quite beautiful. He'll start his run here off turn at number 4, so it looks like some of these drivers may choose to run only 1 lap if they so please. But in the meantime, the 44 of Hardin comes off turn number 4, dives it down into turns 3 and 4 for his first qualifying lap. Will it be his only lap? Is going to be the question as he crosses the start-finish line. 14.968. That's just under a 19th lap time. So we'll see one more attempt with the 44.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to go ahead and attempt 2 laps because there we go. We saw it with Lowell Drill. We saw it with Jeffrey Harden as well. They both have gone fast on their second lap. A 24 car now out on track, Austin Bulkey.
Austin Belke, very well known, especially throughout this league and just everywhere, I believe, in that number 24 paint scheme. So he'll start his first timed lap here at Southern National, running right along that bottom groove. And everyone, most notably, running through in, pretty much where the part of the track is rubber. We haven't seen anyone leave that inside lane as of yet to try alternative lanes, as Belke will set a time good enough for P3. So far, the top 3, all within a tenth of a second of each other. Does Belke break that and get to P2 off turn number 4? Across the start-finish line he goes. He goes up to P1 with a 14.799.
Aidan Young, the next car to head out onto the racetrack. It must be noted that the racetrack is very hot right now. You can see it's the middle of the day here in North Carolina. It's also the middle of May, according to iRacing. So 120-degree track temperature. And these cars are racing the iRacing fixed setup. All of them are racing that setup. And normally iRacing's fixed setups are built with a little bit of understeer to help the newer drivers. A 14.7 there for Aidan Young. So what that means is some drivers who race aggressively in the early stages of tonight's race, I fear, Gary, are going to burn off at right front and be in for a long night, or long day rather.
And that long time is definitely going, or that long, race overall is definitely not going to help. Aidan Young does not improve, but he will stick with that 14.773. Next up is a 39 of a Joseph Snyder. And, going to go a little bit, actually about half a lane higher in turns 3 and 4 to start his lap time, or complete his first lap run, I should say. A 14.98 flat. Good enough at the moment for position number 5. Does he improve is the question, and something to look out for. Looks like once you get that one fast lap, it may or may not be enough. A little bit of a wobble off turn number 4, not good enough to improve. Adam Gebel in the 91 is next up.
Yeah, I think we've seen a little bit of 50-50 here. Some drivers have been able to improve, some drivers haven't, so they might as well all go for it. Let's see what this number 91 car can do.
Of a low exit off turn number 4, although that does prove to be useful. Just so incredibly shy, actually, by the looks of it. 0.017 seconds shy of pole. Can he improve by that much, or will he go slower this time? He goes 0.2 of a second slower. No improvement, unfortunately, for the 91.
Ruben Altais is the next driver to set a lap time, and he's already on his first time lap. These drivers, I think, are getting a bit of a hurry up from the organisers. They realise they might be pressed for time a little bit otherwise. So here the number 11 comes to complete his first of 2 timed laps. 15.6, so quite far off a pace. He'll definitely be hoping to improve on lap number 2 here.
So he does. Go ahead, Samuel.
Yeah, here comes out of turn 4. 15.5 still. Mike Holloway, by the way, has lost the connection, so hopefully he can get back before we go racing.
Hopefully he will be able to. Almost, in a sense, what could be the equivalent of a mechanical failure. But in the meantime, Donnie Moore out on track now in the 26, already out and going, completing his first lap. I believe he does do that with a 14.81 flat. Good enough at the moment for position number 4. Only 3 drivers have broken into the 14.7 second range. Will it be 4 drivers across the start finish line? It will, and it's a new pole time by Donnie Moore, a 14.722.
Oh, here's a very fast driver, John Hine, racing with the cruise shop on the hood of his number 21 machine, already on his first timed lap. He's his pit stall was after the start-finish line, so that's why you don't see an out-lap time being registered there. A 14.8 to kick it all off, but we've seen some drivers improving on lap number 2. Can he improve? He'd have to improve about a 10th to challenge Donnie Moore for pole, but if he can just pick up a few hundredths, he'll get second, and he can't improve at all, so he'll stay fifth.
Actually 4,000ths of a second slower, interesting, as we see Brian Dean out on track now. He'll start his timed lap. Some of these drivers you may recognize from also the dirt street stock portion of this league. It's going to be starting up in, I believe, next Friday, so tune in for that here on GSRC in case you're interested. But in the meantime, Brian Dean taking a shot at asphalt racing here at the shootout so far, just outside the top 5 by about 6/100ths of a second with a 14.860. I'm seeing a lot of zeros at the end of these times on their first runs, and unfortunately for Brian Dean, he's a little bit slower. And now Steven Speed's very well known in the dirt street stock portion of this league. He's going to start off his timed lap here, moving to the back straightaway.
Yeah, Stephen Speed's very well known because he's very fast. He's working his way through turns 3 and 4 right now to complete his first of 2 time laps in his Toyota, 14.875, only enough for 7th at the moment, but enough time to complete a second lap. Still haven't had Mike Holloway reconnect to the session, so still have about 6 or 7 cars left to go, depending on whether he makes it back on the... What a lap time there by Speed.
Wow.
14.6.
Steven Spears is saying, well, you know what? I will do you one better, Mr. Donnie Moore. And he absolutely won up to that lap time by, well, doesn't seem like much. But here, well, a 14.6, and the only driver to do that, does Kenny Kibbe have enough to challenge for that? Across the line, he does. Oh, my goodness. No, just like that, Kenny Kibbe says, well, I'll do you one better, Steven Spears. And absolutely destroys, well, pretty much both lap times that Moore and Speed said. Can he improve? Does Kibbe improve is the question. He does not. 0.2 of a second slower, 0.3 slower actually, I believe, that time around. What a time as we see Justin Morton now start his timed lap, Samuel.
Yeah, so they're sending them out in the inverted order of where they finished practice. So in theory, the fastest driver in practice is who we're setting up to have out last on the track there. So that's why you're seeing these lap times drop. These are drivers who have got a bit better handle of the setup. And there you see there, Justin Morton, a low 14.6 all of a sudden. Oh boy, very loose off of turn 4, so that's going to slow him down a bit. So all of a sudden, that really good lap time from Speeds we saw is only enough for 3rd.
And that bobble off turn number 4 as J.R. Shepard is up next. Oh, by the way, well, J.R. Shepard has an insane amount of championships because apparently he's got about 46 in the league in total. So J.R. Shepard is no stranger to being up top. And interesting note as J.R. Shepard sets his out lap, starts his timed lap. Justin Morton was about 0.02 of a second slower with that bobble, so he may have improved just by a bit, but unfortunately, we will not be able to see that yet. Shepard going to finish off his first lap time with a 14.488. So these lap times are just getting lower and lower and lower, of course, as you mentioned, Samuel, with the fact that, well, it's an invert order of practice. Does Shepard improve? Is the question to be answered today, and that answer is unfortunately a no, as Mike Holloway now is out on track. He's back in time to start his time lap.
Yeah, so Mike Holloway should have gone out a few cars ago, but now he gets to go out a little bit later in the practice session here. Also, Matt LaVenture, we're waiting for him to turn a lap during qualifying as well. Still, he was out of the session for a little bit, so we'll see if they give him time to get a qualifying lap in. So Mike Holloway currently 10th after his first lap at a 14.8. Second lap a 14.7, bumps him up to 6th.
Up next is a Bobby Rafferty using that neon blue 7, which looks oh so familiar. I wonder as to why. He's no stranger to running a very noticeable paint scheme at times, and we'll see what he sets for his first lap time here at Southern National. At 14.512, he may be able to improve and beat out J.R. Shepard, but we'll have to see what the exit of turn 4 looks like. Morton had bobbled, and that slowed him up. Rafferty holds it just enough, and we'll see. Unfortunately, though, that's a slower lap time at a 14.603 as we see Brandon Proudfoot out on track in number 22.
Yeah, Brandon Proudfoot would have been the last of the regularly scheduled cars to set a qualifying lap because he was the fastest in practice at a 14.5. We've already seen the lap times improve quite significantly in qualifying, and they improve again at 14.4. So straight to the pole goes Brandon. I do wonder though if Matt Laventure is going to get a qualifying shot, so don't give him the pole just yet. But Brandon Proudfoot going to put a second lap to see if he can go fast, and he can't, but he didn't need to. 14.44, and it doesn't look like Matt Lawrence is going to be able to turn a qualifying time, so I think we can give the pole to the driver for 22.
Yeah, I'm not seeing Matt Laventure in pit road either, so he is in the session, but he's not on in pit road, so we may be utilizing these final about 1.5 minutes to see if the 18 is able to sell out time. But at the moment, though, the 22, Brendan Proudfoot, with a incredibly impressive pole time, a 14.441. And we'll have to wait and see what happens in this final minute. But, well, with the lap times that we've seen so far, well, Samuel, you did mention earlier about those right front tires being burned off. Again, the 1/2 tires are available, so in theory, these drivers are able, if need be, if they want to split this race into 2 separate sections and pit about lap 63 and take tires then.
Yeah, that's possible. The thing is I've seen a few super late model races on short tracks on the East Coast in the past few years. I've been doing camera work for the Cars Tour, and these races, if they stay green, they go by in a hurry. And, 125 laps is a little bit of a sprint race in these cars. And with 19 cars out there on the circuit, we have 19 entries right now. I don't know if you do get a caution in the middle of a race if you want to give up that much track position. Do you want to stay out there and keep your track position, even if it means having worn tires, because the race goes by so quickly? The one difference here is that setup that I was talking about. The fixed setup, it's not a league fixed setup, it is the iRacing fixed setup. Those are usually quite tight. There's a lot of understeer in the cars. That wears the right front out. And so I wonder in that instance if you'll see some cars come in and maybe just try and do a 2-tire stop, try and get some new right sides on at some point during the race.
That is true. That could save a little bit of time in pit road, whether it's green or whether it's under caution. Starting grid for this race so far, an 18-car field, and we saw an absolutely incredible run from Brandon Proudfoot, your pole sitter for this race. He'll start off in first. Second place is going to be J.R. Shepard, with Bobby Rafferty starting in third. Fourth place is going to be Kenny Kibbe. Justin Morton will round out your top 5 on the left-hand side inside row 3, with Steven Speed starting off in 6th. 7th place will be Donnie Moore, with Mike Holloway starting on the outside lane of him in row number 4. And then we have Aiden Young in 9th place, with Adam Gebel rounding out the top 10. Samuel?
Yeah, Adam Gebel won the race to advance him into the shootout earlier tonight. Austin Bolke will be starting 11th ahead of John Hines. Surprising, honestly, for me to see him back at 12th there, considering how fast he's been in other series. Brian Dean will be starting from 13th ahead of Jeffrey Hardin. League organizer Lowell Jewell will be starting in position 1-5. Joseph Snyder, 2 is outside on row number 8. Tyler File will start 17th ahead of Ruben Altice, who turned the slowest lap in qualifying, but he will start ahead of Matt Laventure, assuming Matt takes to the grid. He hasn't turned a lap in practice or qualifying.
And as we await the pace car to pull off from the starting grid, we'd like to mention that, well, the past 2 times that the Stone River Outfitters shootout had happened, and the past 2 times that J.R. Shepard was involved in it, both 2019 and 2017, J.R. Shepard has won this twice. So we'll see what happens for the 5th annual Stone River Shootout, and if J.R. Shepard can not only get a 3rd win in the shootout overall, but a 2nd win at Southern National, because, well, last time the Stone River Outfitters Shootout has occurred here in the Bootleg Racing League last year, it was trucks at Martinsville Speedway, the only time that the Shootout had left Southern National, and they returned for the fourth time as Pace Car looks to be getting ready to pull off for the first of 2 pace laps.
Yeah, so the field will have a couple of times to go around this track and get a little bit of heat in their tyres, drag a brake pedal, do some weaving around, however they best choose to do that. Before we get set for 125 laps of racing, there is a time limit on this race of 1 hour and 25 minutes, but I don't think that should be too much of a concern as long as it isn't a yellow fest. All these drivers get 1 free repair, and you see the track temperature still quite hot.
Has gone down by 4 degrees Fahrenheit, and well, if you're looking for your favorite driver here, well, make sure to go to gsrc.tv as live timing and scoring is currently active there, and you can see where your favorite driver is at all times during this event. Pace car getting ready to pull off, and the field will be in control of the 22 of Brendan Proudfoot. He brings the field to the green, and the first of 125 laps for the Stone River Outfitters Shootout is underway as they make their way through turns 1 and 2 very quickly down the back straightaway, and just like that, J.R. Shepard slots in right behind, and so does everybody, quickly going single file to finish out the first lap.
Yeah, J.R. Shepard was close to beating Proudfoot to the start-finish line there. I don't know if that would have yielded him a penalty. It doesn't seem that that's the case, though, because he is riding around quite comfortably in second place right now. So the front half of the field have all got on single file. It looks like you have to go back about 10th place. You see the first battle for position.
That is just about correct. Brendan Proudfoot currently setting the fastest lap overall throughout this event, but keep in mind it is still incredibly early on, so it's going to take a little bit of time for these drivers to get used to not only this one lane that they're currently in, but if they do choose to try and make some other lanes work, it's going to take a little bit of working that track in to see if that works. So even moving as so much as half a lane higher can help out, as Steven Speeds currently sets the fastest lap time. That may be popping up a lot throughout these first few laps.
Yeah, although I do wonder how many drivers here are already in tyre conservation mode, as Proudfoot does have to watch his mirror here with Shepard and Rafferty close to his rear bumper. Are they only running at 90% right now, considering the fact there's a good chance, you know, they'll be on the same set of tyres throughout the entire race? They don't want to abuse them too early on.
And saving those tires early on may, could obviously result in a sacrifice in speed, but, well, it's better to sacrifice your speed early on rather than your tires. And Bobby Rafferty may be struggling just a little bit, or maybe even conserving his tires. He's fallen back about a car length or so now, back to the front bumper of Kenny Kibbe, who is currently just all over the back bumper. Not about half a car length back, but definitely hounding that number 7 machine. Maybe actually going to make a pass around the outside. This will make an attempt. Morton just beats nose to the inside, and Kibbe, a little bit of a slide off turn number 4, just manages to hang on to it and hang on to his 4th place.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise passing on the high side right now. It doesn't seem to be working in any battles I've seen so far. Everyone fighting for the bottom. Brian Dean just got by Austin Bolke when Bolke slid up high. As a matter of fact, the driver for number 24 sliding back right now. But this is actually a good time to be saving your tyres a little bit, because as long as you keep it on the bottom, no one behind you is going to be able to get by, unless they use a chrome horn, of course.
That is true, of course. I wouldn't count that out. I'm pretty sure nobody would count that out, considering, well, it's obviously short track racing. Some point bump and run is very, well, of course, infamous with racing in general. So taking a look right now, Proudfoot actually going a little bit lower off on the back straightaway, so maybe trying to conserve tires on entry, at least on the back straight. So we'll see as we ride on board the advisor, essentially, of J.R. Shepard, seeing that line that Brandon is taking, trying to follow right in those tire tracks, and coming oh so close to the back bumper lap after lap, but still hanging in there and trying to figure out what will work and what won't work as this race continues on.
Yeah, and to give you an idea, yes, we keep talking about the long run, especially with tyres, but you can't be too lazy, considering the fact if this does go green all the way to the end, it is a bit of a sprint race. We're already a tenth of a way into this race, and we've only been racing for 4 minutes. This race will be over in half an hour if we do go green to the end. I don't anticipate that. I think things will get a little bit rowdy, especially considering it is a shootout. But right now, everyone minding their P's and Q's, stay in single file. Although things will get interesting in the not too distant future when the leaders start to catch lap traffic, because already Ruben Altice, running in 18th place, is about 2/3 of a lap behind the leaders.
Yeah, just about. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit close heading into these next, say, about 10 or so laps by the looks of it, as Altice makes his way off of turn number 4. Proudfoot just makes his way into turn number 3, so that gap is rapidly closing. But, well, luckily here, at least with Southern National being incredibly wide track, well, in the corners at least, well, you can give all the space in the world, but on corner exit, you see all the leaders utilizing going all the way up to the outside wall, and well, that's just usual short track work, and that usually helps the drivers carry all the available speed off the corner and into the next turn. So keep that in mind as we ride on board the 9 of Justin Morton.
At the very front of this train, we've got a battle for 6th place actually. Looks like Spees has been shuffled out of line and is going to the back of that little pack of 3 cars.
We'll see Aiden Young, ooh, close to, well, spinning not only, but also close to the left rear bumper as Young tried to make a look to the inside. Unfortunately, that was not able to happen, but Mike Holloway actually able to get back in, and he'll be in the top 6 position here. And now he's going to be chasing down. He's got a little bit of clean air as well. He'll be chasing down this top 5 group to see what he can do now that he's got a little bit of space available.
Yeah, so the note I wanted to make about our leader, Brandon Proudfoot, he's obviously a heck of a driver. He's leading this race. It's not the first time we've seen him leading a race in this league. He's very fast, but he seems to be coming into the entry of the corners a lot lower than the pack behind him. Second on back, it seems to be making the turns a lot wider than he is. I would think that that would be making the number 22 slow, and maybe he's doing it on purpose to kind of save tyres a bit. But yeah, it's there he goes. He leaves the bottom lane open for J.R. Shepherd there. I don't know if I'm a big fan of this line the 22 is running, and I think J.R. Shepherd might start to get a little bit impatient.
Yeah, it's a very good note, especially because once you pointed that out, I noticed, yeah, you see that whole lane open almost as Shepherd looks to the inside. It's a great timing with the camera angle as well, just to see the entire 98 saying, yeah, hi, I'm in your rear view mirror. You might want to watch out for me if you keep doing that. So we'll see what happens here. And yet, in response, I think Proudfoot kind of realized, okay, maybe I should start running right next to the apron just to be safe. But whether it's tire conservation, well, we'll see. But right now, he's luckily hanging on to the lead is that 22 of Proudfoot as they catch up now, unfortunately, to the 11 of Ruben Altice. But luckily, it's not a massive amount of drivers that are at the end of the lead lap. So the 11, I'm pretty sure, will be moving possibly to the inside lane, actually, off of turn number 4. We'll see. He does do so. And well, we'll see how this goes. Unfortunately, taking away the preferred lane for most of the drivers, forcing everyone up here for the first time in this event to use a higher lane on corner entry. And just like that, they still remain single file and go right back into rhythm.
Yeah, and Ruben was under no obligation to let the leaders by there. I almost wondered if he would fight to stay on the lead lap. I don't know if it appeared on camera there, but Mike Holloway was having a little bit of connection issues a couple laps ago. You might have seen the white car in 6th place blinking in and out a little bit. It seems to have cleared up a little bit for him, so hopefully that won't pose too much of an issue for him and they'll be able to keep on racing.
So far, he's able to continue racing, and we'll see how everything handles out for him. Hopefully, it still handles very well. Meanwhile, as the 22 Proudfoot has a clear track in front of him, he's going to have a little bit of limited time to enjoy that as he'll continue to catch up the rest of the, well, pretty much drivers back from about 14th to 17th. As, well, that gap is rapidly closing, and there's a huge group of drivers there. 4 drivers may not seem like a lot at the end of the lead lap, but, well, for these lead lap drivers, it's going to be a lot here. As we see the end of that group, actually, they're a little bit about in behind, currently focused on John Hine and Joseph Snyder, both in the 21 and 39 respectively. And just in the back of that is Tyler File and Jeffrey Harden battling in the background for 16th place, getting a little bit close for comfort there, but everyone running side by side. The longer they do this, the closer they'll get to the lead lap group, and still trying to defend his final.
Yeah, and that's why Harden is trying to make a pass, because he can probably see the leaders coming. Maybe even if he can't see them in his mirrors, he'll see them coming on his F3, his relative timing screen that iRacing gives you. And he doesn't want to be the next driver that the leaders catch. He would love to have a buffer in between himself and the leaders. So Harden is trying to make a move down low, but even though the low line seems to be the preferred racing groove around here, I think in a battle, the high line is now the place you need to be. It looks like some drivers are struggling to make passes down on the low side.
It will work very well for defense, as that 68 of File has very well demonstrated. And Harden, what he's trying to do is be that first driver one lap down. You do that and you get waved around, provided, of course, a caution comes out and we don't make any contact with anybody else or any objects on track. But, well, Harden, what he's trying to do, get back into at least, well, ahead of Tyler File, be the first driver one lap down and get that wave around in the event a caution comes out. As we take a look back at the leaders who are slowly closing in and, well, slowly breaking up a little bit as well, in a sense, because Jared Shepard has given himself a little bit of a gap between himself and Proudfoot. And there's a little bit of a gap between Rafferty and Kibbe, who's, well, a little bit sideways off turn 4, just hangs on to it.
Yeah, Proudfoot was also a little bit sideways off of turn 4 there. Yes, so File and Harden are still on the lead lap, of course, right now, but if they go a lap down, they want to be the driver ahead, just in case a caution flies, as you mentioned. So if I Rafferty, Kibbe or Morton right now, second, third, fourth or fifth, they haven't been able to make any kind of passes. I'm hoping for their sake they've been worrying about concerning tyres. We're not at the halfway point yet, we're only just approaching the third race distance. I am curious to see if we keep going green to the end, who has done the better job of taking care of their tyres, because, you know, that could end up making a big difference in the closing laps.
And here we go, Jeffrey Harden going to go to the outside lane. I think Jared Shepard was actually going to look to make it 3 wide there for a moment. He thought better of it, but was looking to make a move through the middle to try and capitalize on the outside lane. So everyone gets by the 44 of Jeffrey Harden just fine. And now, unfortunately, catching back up to Ruben Ortiz all of a sudden. Unfortunately, not the best look for the 11, but he's still hanging in there. He knows that, of course, he can at least finish this event. He'll go to the high side this time around. And next up is the 68 of Tyler File that these leaders have to get by.
Yeah, so 2 laps down now for Ruben Ortiz, and we've got the battle for, what's that, 7th place?
Looks to be so, at least a brewing battle in the case of Holloway and Young, as, well, actually Holloway and
They
Speed.
just switched.
Holloway
No,
and Speed's correction.
Yeah, they just switched. That's another battle back here. But yeah, so Aiden Young has just passed Mike Holloway, but it looks like it wasn't without contact. There's the damage on the right front fender of that number 69 machine. We'll get a replay here, and let's take a look. Is he already carrying the damage before the pass here, actually?
That could be, there it is. That could possibly be it just off turn number 2. Both different lines and nearly making contact again in turns 3 and 4. So a little bit of contact, a little bit of beating and banging, unfortunately. Well, that's, of course, nothing, no harm, no foul. That's the usual case of short track racing. Aerodynamics don't entirely matter that too much, but very good note regardless to catch that, as we see Aiden Young a little bit of a bobble again. So now, as we are 10 laps away from, well, the complete halfway point, and in some cases, technically it would be 62 and a half, but rounding out to 63 laps is a little bit easier. Just in the meantime, actually holding on a second as we have a pass for between Kibbe and Rafferty. Both drivers are battling it out for P3. Kibbe up now to position number 3, making his way by Bobby Rafferty.
so. That's the first move we've really seen in the top 5 made all night long. Is Kenny Kibbe saying it's go time now that there's less than 100 laps left to go. He makes a move stick here, and as we come back to live action, he's now making a move on J.R. Shepherd. So yeah, Kenny Kibbe, I think he's just been playing it safe, taking care of his tyres for the first 50 laps, and now he's saying it's go time.
And of course, there is such a thing as that go time as Proudfoot will make his way by John Hine in the number 21 machine. Kibbe on a charge now. Now they said, okay, so there's a little bit of space. I feel like I'm faster than these drivers. Let us begin the passing. So Kibbe now, once he gets by John Hine, will be looking to challenge the 22 of Proudfoot for the lead as they come off of turn number 4.
Yeah, seeing John Hine go a lap down and no Hine's a heck of a driver, so that tells you just how competitive this field is, that we're only 15 minutes into this race and he's already gone down 1 lap. So the top 4 right now is Proudfoot, Kibbe, Shepherd and Rafferty, and they've actually started to drop Justin Morton back in 5th place. First car a lap down is John Hine, so he's in the lucky dog position if anything were to occur.
May change to Joseph Snyder here momentarily, depending on if anything would happen in the next, let's go for 5 seconds, considering how fast the pace is here around Southern National. Kenny Kibbe looming on the back bumper, a bobble off turn number 4, so he's very much surely pushing the tires, taking a little bit of a wider line as well by about half a lane. Kibbe's going to try and look up to the outside, taking a wider arc, actually trying to diamond the corner essentially, whereas you take a high entry and then just go low, hit that apex in the middle of the corner, then a high exit. So it is surely a lot. Unfortunately, though, unfortunately for Kenny Kibbe, is not able to do so due to the timing of that. Joseph Snyder will be letting the top 4 go as Rafferty's a little bit sideways. He manages to hang on to it. So now Shepherd right back on the back bumper of Kenny Kibbe almost.
Yeah, so Proudfoot has been running that tight entry line still. I'm not sure. Well, I keep saying I'm not sure how well it's working for him, but he's still leading the race, so it must be working for him quite well. But I thought Kenny Kibbe would really have a chance to take the lead from him when he caught his bumper, but the lap traffic kind of broke him apart a little bit and bought Brandon Proudfoot a few more laps. I think 64 laps in, so we're over halfway now, and we're only 16 minutes into this race. So again, a half-hour race if we see it go green all the way to the end. But I have a feeling the second half of this race could look very different to the first half.
It's always possible. Just because the first half is over doesn't mean the second half could be the exact same, especially considering, well, Ruben Maltese getting lapped again as they will catch up now to Roel Jewell in that 13th place position. Kibbe still, he's pushing hard on turn number 4. I keep seeing him, and well, he's not the only one bobbling off turn number 4, of course. I mean, Proudfoot luckily hanging on to it at least for the time being. We'll see how that goes as the laps continue to wind down in the second half. But Kibbe surely pushing that car, pushing those tires. May be worth conserving the tires a little bit, but Kibbe still is looming in the rear view mirror of 22.
Yeah, and wow, Kibbe really closed in on him through the apex, through the center of that corner in turns 3 and 4 that time. So it's lap 69 now, and Kibbe is to the back bump of Proudfoot, and I have a feeling he doesn't want to stay there for very long, sticking his nose out down the back straight. Proudfoot continues to run that defensive line. I wonder if that's Proudfoot trying to tell Kibbe, if you're going to pass me, you're going to do it up high, and Proudfoot might take the opportunity. We've got a bit of a 3-wide scenario coming out of turn 4 right now. But I think we need to keep our eye on the leaders because this is going to get action-packed. And now it's not. There's a caution.
And it looks like, well, it was almost actually, it was a cause of that 3-wide situation, actually, in the sense the 68 of Tyler File got turned about halfway in turns 1 and 2, unfortunately. As we'll take a look at the replay here.
Yeah, things were just getting a little dicey. So Speed's down there on the low side. Oh, it's not Speed's, it's that white car in the middle. Who's that?
Next to be the 26th, that is Donnie Moore, unfortunately making contact. Taking on-board look, just trying to hang on to. Unfortunately, it's an accordion effect, just in the wrong direction, unfortunately. So the first caution of the day. Now, the question is, which might have been answered already, who's the one to take tires? Well, apparently that's everybody. So everyone taking, by the looks of it, 4 tires, and down and away they go. It's after halfway, and things are about to get quite interesting heading into the second half.
Yeah, very interesting actually, because I think some drivers went a lap down there. Their pit stop took so long that the pace car came around and lapped them. Some drivers stayed out on the track, including Brian Dean.
We'll wait and see, considering that, well, we have, well, currently a massive amount of drivers now 1 lap down. A few drivers got shuffled around, so we'll hang on and wait and see where everyone sorts out after this, as, of course, the drivers that are lap down will be shuffled into the back as everyone now gets out of pit road. Some drivers may have accidentally fueled as well, and, well, these cars do take some time to fuel as compared to tires alone, as the lights go out on the pace car. So we'll wait and see if race control does decide to delay the green, as everyone is still trying to get their way around.
Yeah, lights are still off on the pace car. So Brian Dean is the only one that stayed out there on old tyres. And that's why everyone's mixed up back there on the back straight back now, because a lot of drivers who were lapped down, who stayed out trying to get a lap back, weren't able to get a lap back because of Dean staying out. Dean does not get a good restart, and Proudfoot goes right back to the point.
Keep in mind, Brian Dean is currently on, well, 76 lap old tires, so of course, all drivers on the fresher tires will be able to pretty much make mincemeat of anyone who's on the older tires and get by them in an incredibly quick fashion. Look at this, as it's side by side for 3rd place. Aiden Young in 3rd place, at least trying to attempt to challenge for this 3rd place position. So in fact, that might be 2nd place, as Rafferty had stayed out. So he's one of the drivers that was caught actually 1 lap down.
Yeah, Rafferty just passed to Proudfoot, and that's an important pass, because even though it wasn't for the lead, it puts him back on the lead lap, of which there's only 7 cars on the lead lap. Now, Rafferty, I'm assuming, is you know, going for broke right now. Whereas Proudfoot is still going to be conserving his tyres a bit because of all the chaos on the restart there. Proudfoot is holding a 1 second lead, so he can afford to run at 90% right now and conserve his tyres. There's still a lot of racing left here, you know, 50 laps, so you do have to watch out for your tyre wear a bit. So Proudfoot, Dean, Young, Kibbe, Morton, Jewell and Rafferty are the only drivers left on the lead lap there. Everyone else who was on the lead lap had a long stop, putting them over a lap down.
And well, as this race continues on, at least the battle for 2nd place, Brian Dean will get shuffled back. But keep in mind, Dean is on older tires. He's able to defend from Aiden Young for quite a few laps after that restart. So he's continuing to at least run the top side. He gets a quick pass by both Donnie Moore and Mike Holloway, but Dean will get shuffled back to what looks to be currently the 3rd place position.
Yeah, and what Dean is really counting on is a late caution. Imagine if we get another caution now around lap 100 or so. He's going to be the only car out there, or at least the only car on the lead lap, who has a set of tyres waiting for him in pit road. And with only 6 cars on the lead lap currently, he'd be able to use those to easily get back up front.
He also mentioned that Rafferty was going for broke. Well, I did see just out of the corner of my eye that Rafferty did set the fastest lap of the race so far. So he may not be wrong in that sense, as it's a little bit of a stack up here in the middle of the field, about position 8, as Austin Belkey's trying to make his way by Brian Dean, as Brian Dean's actually getting shuffled back. So continuing on and on, further and farther back goes number 23.
Yeah, the Dean's only hope of winning this race is if another yellow comes out. I also don't know why Rafferty is still going fast out there. He's safe now. He's on the lead lap. He's not going to win this race by running Proudfoot down. That's never going to happen in 40 laps. What he really needs to be doing, I think, is running it at 90% as well, so that if he does get a caution, he's got tyres left to fight with in the closing stages.
That is true. We'll see what Rafferty has in store. Maybe he knows something that we don't. He's probably a bit more comfortable as we ride on board Bobby Rafferty, as he quickly makes his way by the 11 of Ruben Ortiz. Right now Rafferty just continuing to set the pace. I think he knows with everything being a little bit shuffled that he does have some clear space in front of him, and he thinks, well, I might as well take advantage of this clear space in front of me now while I still can. But in the meantime, Papyrus 22 continues to lead many car lengths over Aiden Young in second place.
Yeah, things are looking really good for Proudfoot right now. We did need quite a bit of drama in the last 35 laps to shake things up, but guess what? We're at a short track and we're late model racing. Both of those things normally lead to drama. We had a clean first half of the race until a caution came out and threw everything out of whack. And there's a good chance we could get another one here in the closing stages, because even though Proudfoot may be the only driver contending for the win right now, there's a lot of antsy drivers out there who might make aggressive moves in the closing laps, trying to gain an extra spot or two. And let's get one of those battles up on screen for you right now, as Holloway and Donnie Moore are battling for the lucky dog position. So this is a pretty important battle right here, Gab.
That's going to be for 7th place as well in the process. It's just right behind second place of Aiden Young. And as they all catch up to Ruben Ortiz, who takes it to the top side, Donnie Moore now is going to be looking on the back bumper. He'll be staying right on that inside lane. I'm pretty sure he'll be thinking as well, well, let's see, what can I do here in these final, almost 30 laps? Get that lucky dog position if need be. And right now, Donnie Moore, unfortunately, looks to be struggling on corner exit just ever so slightly, and looks to be that Mike Holloway is just falling in the tire tracks. And right when I say that, that's not going to happen. Moving to the inside is Donnie Moore after a slow up from Holloway in that number 2 machine, and somehow it still remains just about the same.
There's only one driver on this track who doesn't want to see a caution, and that's Brandon Proudfoot. There's a lot of drivers who do. Aiden Young wants to see a caution because that'll give him a chance to catch Proudfoot. Rafferty wants to see a caution because that'll give him a chance to catch a pack. And whoever's leading this battle for 7th wants to see a caution because they'll get the lucky dog. Right now it's Mike Holloway, and that's why Donnie Moore is fighting so hard for it.
We'll see how much harder that Donnie Moore is willing to fight for that 7th place, especially in between, well, Kenny Kibbe and Young, who are 3rd and 2nd respectively. So we have almost 2 separate battles going on for these positions here in the same portion of the racetrack. Of course, like you mentioned earlier, Samuel, is that these drivers a lap down do not have to get out of the way. That blue flag essentially is, well, in this case, a suggestion just to move out of the way. So if they feel like they have enough pace, well, they can sit there and battle for their own position. After all, they are racing at the same time. Kenny Kibbe, however, not waiting much longer, and he's going to force to wait as going around the outside lane. A great pass by Donnie Moore at the start-finish line. He'll get 7th place. Kibbe tried to make a move to the inside to get by Moore. Holloway got loose off turn number 2. That slowed Kibbe up as well, as they both make contact.
Oh, that was a bit of a scary moment for Mike Holloway there. So yeah, Kenny Kibbe, let's see what he can do in the closing stages. If he gets a caution, he'll be able to run the leaders down. And let's not forget, if we do get a late caution, Brian Dean in 4th place has those new tyres waiting for him in the pits.
We'll see, especially with how few drivers are on the lead lap, that you sometimes could be willing to sacrifice that track position, especially if it's only, well, a few drivers on the lead lap as opposed to, well, 15 to 10 drivers on the lead lap. So a lot can change here in these final almost 20 laps, and well, just like that, we'll see how things play out between pretty much everyone from about 2nd on back, especially between Donnie Moore and Kenny Kibbe, as well as Aiden Young. I think at this point, Mike Holloway is out of the fight for that wave around position in 7th place, coming to, well, actually 19 laps to go now at the start-finish line for that number 22 of Proudfoot.
Yeah, so we're within the last 20 laps here. So Brandon Proudfoot, I'm sure he can taste the victory, but at the same time, there's something in the back of his mind saying, there's going to be a caution, isn't there? I haven't got this race won yet. And, you know, hopefully for his sake, he's been saving his tires a little bit. He has no reason to push the car right now. He's holding a comfortable 1.5 second lead. He might want to save just a little bit, just in case he does get a late caution. He has something to fight with.
Let's see a battle here between Justin Morton and Brian Dean for the 4th place position here, as it's going to be brewing as they both enter turns 1 and 2. Justin Morton again looking for that 4th place position. They're at the tail end of this group here of about, well, 9th, 10th, and 11th. So 2 entirely separate races going on. Again, in the same part of the racetrack. To the inside goes Justin Morton on Brian Dean. Just like that is Justin Morton in the 4th place position, passing Brian Dean in the number 23. As we see Kenny Kibbe and Aiden Young getting past. I was about to mention that Kenny Kibbe was chasing down Aiden Young quickly, and just like that, a quick pass later, Kenny Kibbe up to second.
Yeah, I think it was the first half of a race we saw Kenny Kibbe come alive in the long run, didn't we? So I wonder if Kibbe's trying to do the same. Oh, bouncing off the wall. Yeah, goes Aiden Young. Well, he had a fender like that in the first half of the race. Maybe his car was handling better that way, and he thought, hey, I'll dim my fender up again. Maybe it'll come back to me.
Well, maybe, but at that point, there's a point where he hit the wall to the point where, well, you start to get more and more damage. And of course, again, aero doesn't really matter, but you start to bend that right front a little bit more per lap. And the next thing you know, you're going to have a little bit of steering damage. But meanwhile, look at this. It's about half a second faster as, well, producer Sean and I both have the same idea. I just looked at the lap times that Kenny Kibbe is absolutely, completely destroying the gap between himself and Brendan Proudfoot in these final now 10 laps at the start-finish line. We could be seeing a race for the win here.
Yeah, and that's because Proudfoot dropped off of a cliff. He was running low fit, and now he finally gets a good lap time back again. He runs a 15.2, but for whatever reason, the last 2 laps, Proudfoot was running mid-15s. I don't know if he made a mistake or got out of rhythm, but Kenny Kibbe really had a couple of laps where he gained a lot on him. But Proudfoot is back down into the low 15s again. He just ran a 15.201. If he can keep doing that, he can hold on and win this race. But if he has a couple more laps, like those high 15s he just ran a couple laps ago, that will cause Kibbe to close right on in. So less than 8 laps left to go now. Proudfoot holding an 8/10 of a second lead, and you can see that's still about 5 car lengths. Kenny Kibbe eating up that gap slowly but surely. Proudfoot's just going to have to not make any more mistakes.
It may have been conserving tires, but again, it may have also been a few bobbles off the corner. But considering how strong Proudfoot has been throughout this entire race, I wouldn't think that would be him being a little bit loose. He's had very good car control as we're now at 6 laps to go.
And the league organisers realising things are getting serious. He just disabled the driver chat. I have a feeling there was a bit of a conversation going on back in the field that he wanted to mute. But for whatever reason, driver chat is disabled, and these drivers are going to be on full focus right now, and rightfully so, because there's 4 laps left to go. This race will be over in a minute.
Kenny Kibbe and Brendan Proudfoot setting near identical lap times. Kibbe just a bit faster. He's still trying to claw that time down. He's trying to set more than likely hot laps at this point. 3 laps to go at the start-finish line. Does Kibbe improve? Not by much, but we see here on board it's just about an identical lap time, Samuel, as a blitz bobble from both drivers, Kibbe and Proudfoot off turn number 2.
Yeah, there's no tyre conservation going on here, obviously, but I think that's hurting Kibbe. He is really sliding coming out of the corners. I mean, it's not helping Proudfoot either. His lap times have dropped off a tiny bit, but I think Proudfoot's got this. He's coming to the white flag here, and he's got 5 car lengths over Kibbe.
He set a staggering lap time, gets quickly by Ruben Altiz, and that's going to be something that the 22 of Proudfoot will need, and that's going to be enough as they go through turns 3 and 4. Brendan Proudfoot qualified on the pole, and he'll finish on the pole. Start first and finish first. It's the 22 of Brendan Proudfoot. Setting an absolutely incredible race here at Southern National, and he'll win the Stone River Outfitters Shootout, the 5th annual as well here in the Bootleg Racing League.
Yeah, it's a shame we saw a lot of drivers mess up the strategy in the mid-race. I really don't know what went on there. Hopefully we can get some of drivers' thoughts post-race. But still, it was a very deserved victory from Brandon Proudfoot. He would have taken some beating out there today. He still had a great race up front, even with just 6 cars on the lead lap. Had a nice little shootout to end the race there. Just not quite enough for Kenny Kibbe to get the victory, and Brandon Proudfoot's going to celebrate his win here tonight on the front straight at Southern National Motorsports Park.
And very rightfully so, Proudfoot will add his name as the 4th different driver to win here in the Stone River Outfitters Shootout. The only driver to win twice again was J.R. Shepard. As Brandon Proudfoot burns it down on the front straightaway, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere because we'll be interviewing your top 3 finishers here in a few moments' time. In the meantime, you'll see some upcoming races on your screen. So stand by for post-race interviews, especially with your winner, Brandon Proudfoot, here on the Global Sim Racing channel.
Who were, for whatever reason, off the pace tonight or had some pit issues or got involved in incidents. Tyler File down there 2 laps down, as well as John Hine, Joseph Snyder 6 laps down, Ruben Ortiz 7 laps down, and Lowell Jewell and J.R. Shepard did not make the end of the race, and Matt LaVenture did not make the start.
Well, those are your finishing results. And now we're going to start with your post-race interviews, starting off with your race winner, the fourth driver as well, to win in the Stone Rivers outfit. I'll get it at some point. Stone River Outfitters Shootout. There we go. It is the 22 of Brandon Proudfoot. Brandon, what an incredible race. You set a staggering lap time in qualifying, and you just managed to bring it home in first place. What a race that was for you. How was it out there on the track?
Oh, it was really really sketchy with the weather being so hot, and early on there wasn't too much rubber down. It was all about keeping those rear tires saved, and Kenny, he did a lot better job than what I did, and he was definitely coming. But as you said, getting that qual lap definitely makes a factor.
And definitely helped you out in the end as well throughout this event. Well, what were you thinking in terms of a strategy, especially with how hot the track was, not only, but a few bobbles here and there, not only by you, but pretty much by everybody in some cases off turn number 4, especially.
Slow in, fast out. My strategy going in, because of how the track was so hot, instead of trying to arc for the apex, I was actually braking in a straight line. That way to kind of save the right front tire. That way I can kind of arc the exits a little better, and that's what I think gave me a little bit more of the edge later on.
Definitely, it did help heading into those that final stretch as well. You did start, well, actually, after the final restart, you did start to set a few slower lap times in this sense. Was that due to the tires, or was that just tire conservation?
That was conservation. I seen Kenny had a few guys ahead of him, and I knew he'd be coming, and I set myself about 1.2 seconds. Once he got to there, it was green light to blow the right front off.
Very interesting call as well. Great job to conserve the tires as well heading into the end of the race, keeping everything in mind. Before we go ahead and let you go celebrate your win even more as well, anyone that you like to give a shout out to or thank for your race win here this afternoon?
Many. General Tire, the primary, Polaris RZR, Vision Wheel, Rigid Industries, Dirtfish, JSB, XTV Axles, Gibson Performance, Acronis, Saint Racing Fabrications, 07 Designs. I got 2 more here.
While he looks for the last couple, Samuel, if you have anything to ask him.
There we go, I got him here. Stone River Outfitters, Matt LaVenture, and Chris Leone, Motorsports Drop. Mom, Dad, mom, family, girlfriend, everybody. And specifically Bobby Rafferty. I know he was in here with me. And not being the asphalt guy, he's the one I look to make sure I'm doing everything right.
Well, you definitely did everything right here for this afternoon. And we like to, again, congratulate you on your win here for tonight. And we hope to talk to you again next time.
10-4. Thank you, guys.
That is race winner Brendan Proudfoot. And we'll pass it over to Samuel Ryman, who is standing by with second place finisher Kenny Kibbe.
Yeah, Kenny, you got second place. I'm sure you're not too pleased with that. You would have liked to win, but man, you gave it all you had.
Yeah, I drove my guts out there at the end. I thought that I could have gotten away with taking four tires and not get put back in that mess, whatever that was. But yeah, I just I needed another caution, but at the same time, if we would have gotten another caution, would have bunched everybody back up, and my tires would have been used. So I don't know what would have happened, but man, I wanted it really bad. But I put it all out there, and we got really, really close. And Brandon's really fast driver, so I can hang my head up high because that was a really good run.
Yeah, so that was a bizarre caution because first off, it looked like Brian Dean stayed out, and that meant a lot of cars who thought they would get a wave around had to drop to the back of a pack on the last lap of caution there. But also, a lot of drivers who were on the lead lap had a long stop and dropped a lap down. Can you spread some light on what actually happened there? Did they not deselect fuel, or was it right on the edge of being able to serve a stop under caution, take 4 tires, and come out still on the lead lap?
Yeah, so it was going to be, I knew it was going to be close to getting lapped by the pace car with a 4-tire stop. These super lates aren't very fast on their pit stops. And um, so we all pitted. And I think what really got us was I'm not so sure that everybody was really at pace speed yet by the time pit lane opened. So other cars circulating around the track were probably going faster than what I had anticipated, because pits opened like immediately as soon as we came around after the caution. And um, Brandon exited pits and he was okay. I exited and it told me I had a closed pit. Aiden took 2 tires, so he got out okay. And everybody behind me, it was either like closed pit or they got lapped by the pace car, and it just really messed everybody up. And then we weren't able to get everybody, we weren't able to delay the green because our admin is, he's racing too. So he had enough going on. And we weren't able to get the order really settled where it needed to be. And I got a drop to the end penalty because of the whole closed pit thing. So I started where I should have because of that. But it just really messed things up.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame there that you had to drop to the back because you were still able to work your way up to the front there. How would have you passed Proudfoot if you caught him? What was the best way to make a move, you think?
Well, I saw in the middle of our first run, I was really not driving in the corners as hard as everybody else, and it really allowed me to save my tires. And the way that I passed Bobby and the way that I passed JR was going to be the same way I was going to pass Brandon, and that was to kind of enter the corner just a tad bit higher than normal and just kind of diamond the corner on exit and really get a nice straight launch off the corner to set up for the next corner, get up underneath him. Late in the race, I may have pushed him up the track if I had to, but I try to pass clean. And but then the outside line's really tough. So really, me being on the bottom, if I can get up underneath them, have the corner, and then clear them on the next one, that was probably how I was going to do it.
It's a shootout race. You don't have to race them clean for us. But hey, you still put on a great show out there tonight. Congrats on the second place. We know it's not what you wanted. Anyone you'd like to thank for making this happen for you tonight?
Yeah. First, I want to wish Sean Ambrose happy birthday from yesterday. Had to, man. And everybody at Bootleg Racing League, I mean, you guys saw it. The racing, if you take away the weird caution, the racing was fantastic. Everybody here's not just a great racer, but a great person too. And I'd like to thank everybody that rides along with me on Twitch when I do these races from my point of view. Global Sim Racing channel in general, for you guys do a fantastic job with your broadcasts. Stone River Outfitters for sponsoring this race, and the Cruise Shop and Jim Beaver Esports for sponsoring our normal series. Lowell Jewell for putting on Bootleg Racing League, and yeah, I think I got everybody, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to next week because I'm coming back for the Saturday series. I'll be in the Grand National Series next week.
All right, we look forward to seeing you there. That was your second place finisher tonight, Kenny Kibbe. One interview left to go. Gary, you've caught up with our third place finisher, Aidan Young.
Yeah, here with Aidan Young, who we've seen many times, pretty much throughout the Bootleg Racing League in general, and he makes his mark here, finishing in the third place position in asphalt. So great job for you this afternoon, Aidan Young, going from 9th to 3rd, and well, just a lot of everything just went your way today by the looks of it.
Yeah, it basically came down to the pit stop, just doing the right strategy and staying on the lead lap. It's what got me to 3rd.
Well, definitely helped out in the end. How are the tires handling as well throughout the event, especially after the initial start, everyone going to a single file, and then as the first run went on, how are the tires handling?
The tires were handling pretty good. It was loose, but that's pretty normal for a Super Late model.
Well, heading into the next few events, I guess in this case, in the Bootleg Racing League, as well as taking a look at this afternoon's event, anything that really sticks out to you?
Just glad to be back racing. I took a bunch of weeks off, so I'm just glad to be back racing.
I'm definitely glad to have you back as well. Before I go ahead and let you go, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to or thank for your third place tonight?
I just want to thank Gambler Motorsports, Stone River for sponsoring the shootout, Inside Groove on my car, and you guys for broadcasting.
And thank you for allowing the time for us to interview you, and we hope to talk to you again later on.
Thank you.
Well, Samuel, what an event this was. Before we go ahead into our outro, what do you have any final thoughts about this event that we saw today?
Yeah, I think what Kenny Gibby said during the middle of his interview there was spot on. You know, it's a shame that we had a chaotic caution that caught out a lot of top contenders. But when we were racing under green there, everyone was keeping it clean. There was some fantastic side-by-side racing and a nice little chase, a cat and mouse game there at the end, if you will. Kibby running Proudfoot down for the win in the closing laps. Just wasn't quite able to get it down. A great show tonight.
An absolutely incredible show tonight as well. We all greatly enjoyed it. And, well, we also like to give some thanks of our own. We like to thank the Stone River Outfitters for sponsoring this event here in the Bootleg Racing League, as they are, again, a family-owned, full-service brick-and-mortar fly shop located in Amherst, New Hampshire, servicing the greater New England region and beyond. They are committed to your complete satisfaction, and well, their small but knowledgeable staff works hard to not only stock the finest selection of top-quality fly fishing and fly tying products the industry has to offer, but they also back those goods with the highest levels of customer service, experienced insight, and most candid, most trustworthy advice available anywhere, period. And we also like to continue to thank the Bootleg Racing League for allowing us to continue coverage of this event, and as well as their league in general, as well as the companies that provide the software and hardware that allow us to do these broadcasts listed here on your screen. Additional thanks goes to June Lalonde, who provides our incredible music. And if you're interested in having her provide some of her great work to you, you can contact her at the link in the description below, or the link that you see on screen. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races that aren't currently going by on your screen as you see here, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our additional social media channels at Twitter, which is at GSR Channel. Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and our Instagram is GSRC_Gram. If you'd like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. That is gsrc.storenvy.com, or you can click the link in the description below. If that YouTube button over there is red and it says subscribe, well, go ahead and click that. And make sure to hit the notification bell to set the preference to all, so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing channel. And if the button is already gray, well, we thank you for being already subscribed, and thank you for your continued support. The next Bootleg Racing League race is the Dirt Street Stock Series, with their opening race at Eldor Speedway, utilizing, well, the Dirt Street Stock. That takes place on September 25th at 5:05 p.m. Pacific or 8:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next race here on the Global Sim Racing channel is, well, tomorrow, with the Lotus 79 CTC Series at Road America for their opening race, as you see on screen there, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't worry if you missed that race or any other race here on GSRC. You can always watch them back at a later date. For the team today, co-commentator Samuel Ryman, director Sean Ambrose, and camera provider Dougie Beard, I'm Gary Weaver, and we thank you for tuning in to the Bootleg Racing League's 5th annual Stone River Shootout. As we sign off from Southern National, we hope to see you next time. And, well, remember to race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.